is what's happened. And we've had a good start. The show was considerably larger than I forecast. We launched it in October of 2011. MPI, of course, ourselves were partners. We then went to the Las Vegas Convention Visitor Authority. It was very important that they were on side. I don't mean financially, but I mean from the point of view of support. It was very important that the whole city was going to support the show, which they've done. Although it's held at the Sands Expo, part of the Venetian Palazzo complex, it's really a show for the whole city of Vegas, and the whole city has become engaged in it and are extremely supportive. So we're very pleased with the relationships we have there. And I mentioned earlier, and related to the success of the shows, and hopefully we can develop on this, is the way that we're able to work with the exhibitors on the pre-show marketing. We decided to do something this year which we tested earlier, but we don't even just really touched on it, and it was to have webinars. So we went out to the exhibitors, because there's so many different ways to take advantage of what we're doing if the exhibitors know how to get the benefit. So we went out and we offered webinars, and we were staggered by the response. And we gave a series of webinars to exhibitors. 1,000 exhibitors came to these webinars. Bearing in mind, you're talking about a show where we had, in terms of personnel, maybe 3,000 exhibitors. It was a very high proportion, and some were from the same organization. So this was a very interesting, and of course they were appreciative of it, but it helped them a lot. And we decided then to open it up to buyers as well. But we did that pretty late, and there were a few hundred who came in, and we'll develop that in the future. And a few hundred of the buyers came as well. And we found this very advantageous. And it's another great use of technology. I have to say, I didn't expect the numbers to be anything like that. I just thought it was a good service to be offering. So I think that's basically an abbreviated summary of the story. I'd be happy if there's any questions or anything else anyone wants to discuss to answer.
What were the webinars about?
I don't know. You shouldn't have asked that. No, I wasn't doing them. The webinars really are this. The webinars are to demonstrate to the exhibitors how they can use what we're doing to increase the links between themselves and the buyers. That's ultimately what it's all about. So the webinars are to show them how to do the pre-show marketing, advise them how to use the data that we're sending through to them, to do all of that, to tell them if you send too much data, then nothing's going to be seen, for example, how to do it, how they should communicate with those who are coming online onto their diaries, and everything that's going to enhance their presence in the show, to demonstrate to them the messaging services which are used as well, just so they can get the communication very close between the suppliers and the buyers. It's everything really to assist them in their pre-show marketing. And then, although they can't respond to the webinar by speaking, they can do it by email, so therefore they can come through with supplementary questions on anything that they want to know. So the basic idea is to improve the pre-show marketing and then make the experience more successful for the exhibitors. The webinars were put out, I think we started them in August, the show was in October. So we did them, we were holding the webinars right up until I think 2 weeks before the show. And of course, we didn't know that we'd have the demand, we didn't know that we'd be doing so many webinars. So we increased the volume, the number of them. And of course, we'll continue to do that. So we started in August. Yes, 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 absolutely we are. It's extremely important to us. Of course, again, it's so recent, but it became of limited importance, but some importance in Frankfurt back in May. Much more so a couple of months ago in Las Vegas with the communication. So the answer is yes. I'm no expert in social media. I don't know if any of our team are, but we're working hard and we're working with experts on it all the time. And we've got one person internally who we've employed where a very significant part of his role is social media. So he's a bit of an expert on that. So yes, it's extremely important and hopefully, because everyone has also got their concerns about it, but hopefully very beneficial to what we're doing. I'm looking at it very positively. I think it's very helpful indeed.
Big fan of Dale Hilton and so much of what you do at IMEX. I've been proud to serve at the corporate
building stand for the last 3 or 4 years or so.
You have?
Work with MCI Group.
Yes, of course, I didn't realize.
But I wonder how a big hallmark for IMEX has been quality and the efficiency and having working so good. Can you talk at all about what must have been a very difficult decision to expand and to not lose some of that quality as you expand? And would, based on the success you had here, would you consider expanding again?
It's not a leading question, is it? I'll answer the last one first. Right. I never thought we would be expanding at all. So therefore, I don't know is the answer to the last one. But we haven't got any plans. We really haven't got any plans. But we'll see. But the rest of it is, it was, of course, a huge decision. You're absolutely right. And it's obviously a huge decision because here, from all these years, we'd only ever had the one show. So I hadn't expanded previously. But there wasn't really anywhere I wanted to expand to except the United States. That's the reality of it. And therefore the opportunity arose. To manage the expansion, it's very true that I started off with one concept in my mind of how to do it and changed my mind very quickly and decided that the way that we would manage the development IMEX America was to manage it through Hove in England, through our team in Hove, who had the expertise and been doing it for years and years, and just to expand that team a little bit. So, of course, it means, of course, everybody's got added responsibilities. The fact of the matter is that there's less hours in the day than ever for everybody. But on the other hand, it brought with it, of course, a great enthusiasm, this development. There's no doubt about that. And everyone has enjoyed and is enjoying this experience very much. And of course, the challenge, there's no doubt about that. But because it was the same people doing it, and of course, there was a lot for us to learn coming to the United States. There's no doubt about that. But we brought in expertise where we needed it at every level in consultancy basis to help us, just on the organizations and everything with the general contractors, just to take an example, which is so different to Europe. So we didn't know this. So we brought in people who could guide us, good people who could guide us, so we could deal with it. But the point really was that the concept was the same. That's the real point. Not only that, the marketplace on the supplier side was much the same. It was the same worldwide market. I mean, we're talking about, we had 150, roughly the same number, maybe just slightly less here, nearly 150 countries represented in Las Vegas. And all of these countries we've been dealing with already for Frankfurt, so we knew all the people, albeit here in the United States there would be a director who's responsible for the territory. But still the links were there. So we had the connection everywhere. This general basic idea of how we were going to attract the buyers, both the hosted buyers and the non-hosted, was fairly clear. Of course, we had to work out our campaigns and how to do it. And I have to say that starting from scratch and having in the first year here 2,000 hosted buyers, there are 4,000, by the way, in Frankfurt, just under, was quite a task because although we're used to getting our nearly 4,000, we do it through what we call intermediaries. We don't invite the hosted buyers directly from a master database. It would be impossible. No such data is available. And even if you did, the response rate wouldn't be high enough to attain the quality and quantity that you want. So we work the hosted buyer program through intermediaries. Those intermediaries are largely hotel groups, publications, trade associations, representatives, etc. So to give an example, a hotel group will go to their clients and say, look, we're participating in the show. We'd like to invite you on the hosted buyer program. So they invite their clients and they invite their prospects. They attend the show as part of that hotel's group, say it's Hilton, as part of the Hilton group. Hilton, for example, will probably bring in several groups from different, if it's in Europe, from different parts of Europe, and maybe one group from the States, in this case from different parts of the country, to bring them to the show. So we work very closely with them on that. They come to the show, they visit their booth, and then they go around the show. So that's how that works. So the general concept is identical. So we were able to manage the quality, but to get to the 2,000 the first year, the last few hundred, it did take a lot of work, but we managed to do that. We're very pleased with the quality. In fact, probably we've never had higher quality, I would suggest, than the quality we managed to produce this time. It's because of the partnerships. It's because we work with all the trade associations, MPI I've mentioned. They are our strategic partner for the show. We had the Marriott's customer event around the show. We had the, as it's now called, AMEA customer event around the show. And all the major agencies were there. So we did manage to control the quality. The challenge is to keep doing it, of course. That's always the key.
I'll pass that to you. I guess you read my mind.
He knew. There is a question. Yes.
On the hosted buyer program, when you work through your intermediaries to get, do you sort of quantify as to how many you would like to see which are posted and then open it up to others?
Well, when the latter part, what did you mean by others?
Well, I mean, you just said that when you start out on your programs, you work through the intermediaries.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Basically the vendors that
Yes.
run the shows.
Yes.
And they invite people over.
Yes.
So they obviously host them.
Yes.
And they host a certain amount. So
Yes.
do you cut off the amounts of hosted parties
Yes.
that are allowed?
Yes. Yes.
Give your allotment.
Yeah. Yes. The hotel groups who are hosting them, it's still just so you understand that we're paying for all of the flights and hotel accommodation. Even if they stay in a Hilton, we're still responsible for paying for the rooms. But the point is, yes, as Madeline is saying, we give them a target allotment, which allocation, which is agreed with them in advance. We keep in very close contact with the intermediaries. In Frankfurt, we have 450 intermediaries. If you count, say, a hotel group that might bring in 5 groups, we count that as 5. So we have about 450 intermediaries. We keep in very close contact to see how they're going, because we want to achieve the targets. So therefore, it's the numbers we have in Frankfurt has been built up now over a number of years, and so it tends to continue. We don't take it for granted, it tends to continue, so we managed to get the numbers. Here, of course, we were starting from scratch, and even if it was a similar intermediary, say it was the same hotel group, they weren't used to working with us in the United States. We were used to working with their sales offices in Europe, so it was brand new. Even if the name seems the same, it was brand new to them, and that's why it was quite a challenge.
But also address, I think,
Yeah.
that they have to qualify, and it's tough. It is not easy to get in to be a hosted buyer.
And obviously, when you started out, sort of go back to your very beginning.
Yes.
You started with the hosted program
Yeah.
to sort of see the event, if you will, and you seeded it. And have you gradually cut back on the hosted program or the allotment, or have you?
The hosted, it's very interesting. The hosted program in '88 was 600. We're now bringing in nearly 4,000. We won't expand the size of a show without expanding the hosted buyer program. I won't do that, because all we do then is dilute the quality of the show. So next year, we know that IMEX America is growing, and we're already intending, we're raising our forecast now as to the numbers coming in. And it's a very interesting question you asked about, because it's implicit in that, to what extent do you need to do it? I'll never forget the first show, and it was on the 3rd day, and I remember Site wanting to have a meeting with me, so we had a coffee, we'd like to have a chat. And they could see what was going on. The only buyers were there were the hosted buyers. And they said, it was Faye. And she said to me, how long do you intend carrying on with the hosted buyer program? And I said, indefinitely. You could see the relief. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. Excellent.
In your opinion, in the age of technology, you can buy anything you like on the web, the communication is instant. Why are people paying thousands of dollars to still meet?
Yes, it's very good. Well, the simple answer, of course, is that our business is so personal. I mean, I had breakfast with Roger Dow yesterday, head of USTA, and of course the leisure sector is so totally different, and it's not personal. In the end, people are buying through brochures and the internet. And really, every one of the reservations that are made in our industry, there's a personal element. And so it's simple as that. People need to meet face to face, and we're giving them the opportunity to do that. So that's the simple answer.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. We're going to run a little student program.
Thank you, pleasure, thank you.
Thank you for sharing part of your morning with us, and I'm sure Ray will be hanging out if anybody's got some one-on-one questions, and thank you for coming. Class dismissed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't know what to do.
I learned some good.
Oh, good, good, good.
Really, really great, right? I mean, I had no idea all of this tremendous stuff, but really, what a lovely snapshot. Thank you. That was really interesting. Thank you. Yeah, nice to meet you. Terry, we'll see you. See you. We'll see you tonight. Thank you.
My very good friend Hilton asked the question.
Oh, see.